We're going to be talking about refinishing of hardwood floors. And we're going to be focusing on our SandPaperLess system. When we started the business years ago in 2005, one of the focuses, of course, was to develop a system that didn't have to use sandpaper. And as the industry has progressed, and as many of you know, aluminum oxide engineered floors came on the scene, and they present a real challenge for your typical belt sanders or square buffs and that to remove. What we're standing on today is what we would call a factory finished hardwood floor. This is not an engineered floor, this is your 3/4 inch floor. It's yellow birch, so on the Janka rating it's around a 1400, 1480, so it's almost equivalent to maple. And what we find on floors this hard, we will do it in a 3-step process. The number one pain point in refinishing of hardwood is edging. Our machines get to within 1/8 of an inch of the wall, or we can change the skirt and adapt it so that we get right to the wall. The only time we really need to do that is if you are not putting quarter round down, if you're not taking the baseboards off in situations like that. That's when you can run it right to the wall. But that is a tremendous advantage. And why is that? As you know, you're the experts. If you're running with a belt sander, you've probably got some type of a rotary device. It could be a Bonabauer drive that you're needing to have, because why? Your belt sander is leaving stall marks, divots, shatter marks in the floor. You want to get that out, so you're putting your power drive on. So there's 2 machines. What's the third machine that you use? It's an edger. What machine does everybody hate? The edger, right? And then there's the 4th machine that you typically will have to carry, and that's a buffer. And why is that? Because you're blending your floors, right? You're blending from your edge to it, and you're wanting to make sure that when you're putting your stain down, you got a nice homogeneous floor, because you've got a different pattern between your edgers and your belt sanders. So our machine is 4 machines in one. It's a buffer, it's an edger, and it's a sander. So why we like that and why it's so handy is, think about this, you're only taking 1 machine to the job. Now, does that mean you'll never use an edger? No, that doesn't mean that. There are going to be times when the machine just can't get under a kick, can't get into a corner, whatever the case may be. So you're still wanting to have one of those tools in your toolbox. So today, this particular floor, we're going to run with our 50/60 grit S-segs. And once we've cut the floor with that, we'll be running with our 60 grit turbo braid. We'll run with our 80 grit turbo braid, and the floor will be finished. So Frank, I'll let you get started here. We're going to do a section along here so you can see the edging. So now a few of the things that you may be wondering or observing as we've gone through this demo. First of all, for those of you who are running belt sanders, you're going to say, but Brian, our belt sander is faster than that. That's true. A belt sander will always be faster in the first cut than our system. But how many steps is it going to take you, even if you're running with your ceramic papers and you're doing 300, 500 square feet of floor, how many times do you stop to change your paper? How much is the cost of that paper? And then how many more steps are you going to end up doing in the process, because you're going to be going through the same process. With our system, we know our system is slower, but we're doing two jobs already. As you can see here on the monitor, you can see how clean the floor is, the edging, right down this edge. Maybe, Frank, if you can catch that edge a little bit just to show them right there. Bring the camera just around a little bit there so that, there we go. So there's the 1/8 of an inch that we talked about along that edge. And if we were to move the skirt around, which we can do, we'll be completely eliminated, that edge as well. So now we have very, very fine marks in the floor. We could probably go to 80, but I'm going to put the 60 on because I've worked on these floors before and I know how hard they are. If you own a belt sander, you're leery about doing an engineered hardwood floor. Well, we know. The wear layer, if it's less than 3 millimeters, your system is not going to work. When you notice here, when we're removing the aluminum oxide in that, we are not removing a lot of wood whatsoever. So on a 1/8 or 3 millimeter wear area on an engineered hardwood floor, we can actually do 2 sandings. And that's unheard of. And that's why our technology, we have a lot of contractors who keep their belt sander to do certain jobs on regular wood floors, and they're using the WerkMaster to do engineered floors, and they've opened up a whole new revenue stream because they can confidently go in, do the job, charge more money than they do for a normal hardwood floor, because the other alternative is to tear up the engineered floor and replace it. So you can make a good income safely doing engineered floors and aluminum oxide finished floors with a WerkMaster system. Some contractors, if they were not staining, they would actually be able to put it down. Okay? So that's 2 steps in the process. As I said, because this is a hardwood, this particular species, it's like maple, we're going to 3, because we would assume that most times, well, it's changing here in North America. It's not common now to see a lot of people, a lot of contractors are walking away or saying, I'm not going to stain your maple floor. Yeah, these are the grit turbo braid. So I wish you could all be here to feel this floor now and how smooth it is at 80. It's amazing just how flat it is, how smooth it is, how clean it looks. There absolutely is no scratch pattern of any in the floor. It's ready now to stain. So it's really a unique technology, gentlemen, for those who are watching. It just changes the entire industry. And when we think about this machine's also a buffer. So if you want to use it to buff, you can do it. But what we've also started to have some of our contractors, you can get the tank. We have an assembly that we use from our miroir system for stone that you can actually put your stain in and use the machine to apply stain. And there's one of our videos on our website that shows you how to do that. And you can use the pads, pink pads, underneath the machine to apply it as you're feeding it from the tank, the stain. And it changes the time it takes to stain a floor, and it just works so really well. This same machine now, for those of you who are doing installations, you can use this machine as well to do surface preparation. So you can remove mastics, thin set, epoxies, paint, You can flatten the floor prior to putting it down, so it reduces the amount of self-leveler you've got to put in. So it's really more than just a sander, it's also a grinder and polisher.